Howdy. Thank you. Appreciate it. My name is Alan Walden. It is my honor once again to serve as your master of ceremony for today's observance of National Maritime Day in the great Helen Beach Bentley Port of Baltimore. And the weather is, as it always is when we have these events, it's like spring before and after, and you can't breathe on the day of this event. We last stood on this deck 3 years ago and observed both National Maritime Day and the bicentennial of the pioneering voyage of SS Savannah. Since then, our nation and the world at large have been challenged by the COVID pandemic. After 3 long years, boy, am I glad to be back. And I'll bet you are too. In 1933, President Franklin Roosevelt asked the Congress to establish National Maritime Day to recognize and celebrate the rich heritage of our merchant marine and merchant mariners. FDR was a maritime man, and when he made that request to the Congress, he drew from his knowledge to suggest a date that marked a significant American contribution to world maritime history, the sailing of the first steamship to cross an ocean. In 1819, that feat was no sure thing, but the plucky little SS Savannah pulled it off without any trouble whatsoever. One parenthetical note: I am the past president and now the vice president of the Baltimore County of the Navy League of the United States. We support the Sea Service, the Navy, the Coast Guard, the Marine Corps, and the Merchant Marine. FDR had at one time been an Assistant Secretary of the Navy. Why? Because his cousin, whom he admired very much, Colonel Theodore Roosevelt, had been an Assistant Secretary of the Navy. And it was Teddy Roosevelt who in 1902 led to the formation of the Navy League of the United States. If she were here today, Helen Bentley might make a joke about remembering either the voyage of FDR's 1938 proclamation or both. Actually, if Helen were here today, she would have hit me with her purse, because that's the way she got your attention. Let's all be like Helen today. We are all voyagers on the SS Savannah, charting new courses to support the things that we care about. The port, Helen's port, the industries, the city and state served by the port, and the people who are all at its heart. Thank you for being here with us today. We begin our program with a presentation of colors and the national anthem. Today's color guard comes from the United States Merchant Marine Academy at Kings Point, New York, from among a group of Academy midshipmen visiting and working on board John W. Brown, the Liberty ship across the pier. The color guard will be joined by Katrina Jones of the Maryland Port Administration, who will lead us in the national anthem. If you are able, please rise for the presentation of colors.
stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight. Oh, the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave for the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Carry colors. Order colors. Right face. Color guard. Forward. March. Left. 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 Right. Left. 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 Right. Left.
Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated. We have been privileged each year to begin our ceremony with a stirring rendition of the national anthem, while floating within sight of the spot where Francis Scott Key observed the event that inspired him. So why don't we give a round of applause for Key, and for Katrina, and for the color guard. There cannot be merchant marine without mariners. The nature of our modern industry makes the profession a lot different than it was on the first National Maritime Day in 1933. In this port, we appreciate the hard work and dedication of the Baltimore International Seafarers Center and care for mariners in need every day of the year. For years, the center and our port have been graced by the hard work, dedication, and leadership of the Reverend Mary Davison. Well, Mary has stepped down to a well-deserved retirement. And so today we welcome our new center director, the Reverend Josh Messick, to offer today's invocation.
Let us pray. Loving God, we come before you today to remember all those who keep our nation going. The men and women who brave the seas and are the lifeblood of our commerce and our way of life. Help us to remember all those who have gone before. Be thankful for those who continue to work hard that we might enjoy the privileges and the freedom of this life and this nation. All this we ask in your most holy name. Amen.
Thank you, Josh. We look forward to getting to know you a lot better, and we hope you enjoy a long and lasting place here in Baltimore.
I'll be here.
Today's ceremony is sponsored by the Baltimore Port Alliance, the BPA, representing, well, the Baltimore Port Alliance. Now, I'm going to introduce people on the dais who are not on the dais. I'll get to that in a little while. The reason they're not on the dais is because they're smarter than I am. They're in the shade. So they're going to stay there and come wandering up. In any case, representing the BPA to open our program is Armand Patilla, who will become chairman of the Alliance next month. Please welcome Armand.
to Port of Baltimore's National Maritime Day celebration. Thank you for joining us. Looks like King Neptune has talked with the other weather gods and has granted a safe passage through the rest of today's events. My name is Armin Patella. I'm Executive Vice President of the Maryland Motor Truck Association and the incoming chair of the Baltimore Port Alliance. The BPA is a nonprofit association of various maritime-related interests whose mission it is to address the needs and concerns of businesses, organizations, and individuals who support themselves and their families through maritime commerce. Essentially, we are the people who are the subject of this yearly celebration. As the eloquent Mr. Walden has put earlier, since 1933, our country has celebrated National Maritime Day each year on May the 22nd. It commemorates the American steamship Savannah's voyage from the United States to England, marking the first successful crossing of the Atlantic Ocean with steam propulsion. With our port's rich maritime history, it is fitting that Baltimore is the home of the namesake NS Savannah, which marked another milestone of technology built to demonstrate the peaceful commerce of goods throughout the globe. A special thanks goes out today to all of our port workers, the vessel crews, the pilots, longshore labor, truck drivers, our government agencies, and all of their supervisory personnel for their dedication and commitment to this industry. City, state, and indeed the entire economic region owes you a debt of gratitude for the work you perform each and every day. Thank you again, and I hope you all enjoy the event.
All right, the VIPs. By the way, this list could go on all afternoon because everybody here on National Maritime Day is a VIP. So, on the dais, or rather I should say in the crowd, Captain David O'Connell, Captain of the Port and Commanding Officer, Sector, Maryland, National Capital Region. William Bill Doyle, Executive Director, Maryland Port Administration. Kevin M. Tokarski, Associate Administrator for Strategic SEALA, U.S. Maritime Administration. Captain Jeffrey Dumport, Master SS John W. Brown. Take a look at her when you leave. Reverend Josh Messick, Baltimore International Seafarer Center, you met. Armand Patelli, you just met. Jack Cameron, U.S. Maritime Administration Executive Director. Maryland Department of Transportation, Maryland Port Commission, Robert Hewlett. Maryland Department of Transportation Port Commission, Ed McDonald. Another member of the Port Commission, Christian Dean. Secretary Jean Hathaway Riccio, Department of Natural Resources. Colonel Adrian Baker, Department of Natural Resources Police. And Commander Johnny Lisco of the United States Coast Guard. They are all here with us today. As the name implies, National Maritime Day celebrates all things maritime. As we look across the harbor from our vantage point on board Savannah, we can see bustling terminals handling containers, roll-on, roll-off cargo, bulk ores like gypsum, rock salt, and coal, and general cargo of all kinds. Like the BPA, the Port of Baltimore is itself a healthy mix of public and private investment. Shepherding its interests on behalf of the state of Maryland is the Maryland Port Administration. It is now my pleasure to call Bill Doyle, Executive Director of the MPA, to offer a few remarks about the port.
Good morning. My name is Bill Doyle. I'm the Executive Director for the Port of Baltimore, Maryland Port Administration. Before I begin, I want to thank Katrina Jones once again. Her beautiful voice in singing our national anthem. She's a tremendous asset to the port community. I also want to say thank you to Kings Point cadets, the midshipmen from the United States Merchant Marine Academy. I myself used to wear those dress white uniforms. I am an alumni of Massachusetts Maritime Academy. But thank you for coming here. You folks always put on top shelf job with the colors and the job and the work that you do for the United States of America. So thank you very much. I want to begin today with looking back on history of the SS Savannah, which Maritime Day is foreshadowed upon. That was a steamship. And as a steamship, we all know SS Savannah, first steamship to go across the Atlantic. But the true story is that it was a sailing vessel. It had sails on it. It had steam propulsion, and that steam propulsion was fueled by state-of-the-art technology, which was coal and wood. That's what it burned in order to move that ship back in the day. And when that ship left the United States of America, not even the owners of that vessel trusted the technology. There was zero cargo on board that ship. There were zero passengers on board that ship because nobody believed in the technology of that steam vessel. Now we fast forward through the years, most of us who have gone to sea sailed on some steam vessels, some of them still around, particularly on the Great Lakes, but they're propelled by diesel engines. So we had the diesel technology. Now, when we get into the NS Savannah, that's a real interesting story because we're still on the topic of fuel and how would vessels be fueled. And Dwight D. Eisenhower came up with atoms. We had an atom week, Atoms for Peace. It was after World War II, and a ship, the NS Savannah, was built. And with the NS Savannah, it was the Maritime Administration program, along with the executive branch of government. I believe that Maritime Administration at the time was under the Department of Commerce. But that ship, when it got up and running, it actually sailed for 3 straight years without having to refuel. Think about that. The ship sailed for 3 straight years without having to refuel. Now as we get into more modern times of where we are, we're again at a crossroads of how are we going to fuel ships. We have to deal with the environment. We have to deal with the economy. And as we see now, we have more and more ships, and Baltimore is one of those ports that sees an influx of LNG fuel railroad ships. So the LNG fuel ships coming into the port of Baltimore, they can leave Europe, come across the Atlantic, come into the port of Baltimore, hit 2 or 3 more ports on the coast, and actually head back to Europe without refueling. That's the technology. And if you even want to go further, everything comes back in time. One of our ocean carriers, Wallenius Wilhelmsen, WWL, they have designs for a row-on, roll-off automobile carrier ship that will be propelled by sail. Now the sails won't be cotton, they won't be fabric. The sails will be made out of metal, and they will retract when it goes under the bridges, when the ship comes in, but it will be a sailing vessel. So we look at all of the technology and everything that's happened in the past, and we know that the technology on the sail, and maybe ammonia, or maybe methanol, LNG is here. Commerce is not going to stop. It's a matter of how we fuel these ships around the world, getting the best that, I would just like to say the Port of Baltimore is doing great. We have every piece and kind of cargo coming into this port, both private and the public terminals. And I know it's hot out there, so that's it for me. Everybody have a wonderful Maritime Day. Happy Maritime Day. Thank you.
Thank you, Bill. Just as every ship has a master, so does every major port have a captain. At least that's how the Coast Guard sees it. Captain David O'Connell is beginning his second year in command of the Coast Guard Sector Maryland National Capital Region. And this seems like a good time to ask him to step forward and make some remarks.
Thank you, Al. It's a pleasure to be here. My name is David O'Connell. As Alan said, I'm the captain of the port here for the Coast Guard in Maryland, and it's my privilege to be here today to celebrate National Maritime Day and honor not only our mariners but also the maritime industry. Before I get started, I want to thank the Color Guard as well. One thing to participate in that, it's another thing to do it when it's 90 degrees. So great job, you guys. That was awesome. I also want to thank the future mariners here, like Mr. Doyle said. The merchant marine is vital to our economy and our future, and those are our future mariners there. Since the inception in 1790, the Coast Guard has maintained a deep connection to the maritime industry and is rooted in a maritime tradition itself. Our Coast Guardsmen work daily with merchant vessels and their crews, port facilities, and the diverse network of maritime professionals that are critical to port operations. It was these professionals that we called upon when the 1,100-foot container ship Ever Forward got stuck in the bay a little over a month ago. And what an excellent job they did in freeing her without any impact to the economy or to the environment. We're proud to be a part of that community here in Baltimore. We have an amazing partnership with industry and other regulatory agencies, unparalleled in my 24 years of experience in the Coast Guard. The Coast Guard is dedicated to promoting safety, security, and efficient maritime commerce in the Port of Baltimore and throughout the nation. So I thank you for allowing me to be here as part of your celebration today. Thank you.
Time now to turn from the Port of Baltimore and towards something of national importance. Our keynote speaker joins us from our host, the Maritime Administration of the United States Department of Transportation. Kevin Tokarski is a graduate of the first and foremost State Maritime Academy, the State University of New York Maritime College at Fort Schuyler. Kevin's career with MARAC has been long and varied, and since 2008, he's held the Senior Executive Service position of Associate Administrator, first titled as National Security, and today as Strategic Sea Lift. His portfolio includes MARAC programs supporting both commercial and government sea lift, as well as MARAC's maritime education and training programs. Kevin is no stranger to Savannah, as she falls within his purview as well. So please join me in welcoming Kevin Tokarski to the show.
Thank you very much, Al, for that kind introduction. And I guess my goal would be to make my comments shorter than the introduction, right? Because it is very hot out here with that. And it's great to be back aboard the Savannah. You know, I think 3 years ago when I was here in 2019, I sat right out there with Stan Wheatley, Chief Engineer. Stan passed away during that after the last time we were here together. He hired me into the agency in 1985 and was really a stalwart in one of our, not only a great background as a chief engineer, nuclear chief engineer, but also really created the building of our sea lift capabilities and the establishment of the Ready Reserve Force, the ships that we have, several here in Baltimore, really forms the backbone of our nation's power projection capabilities. And a lot of people kind of forget about it or don't know about it. They don't see it. They don't understand, even in the port complex here, about what maritime means. But today is National Maritime Day. It's the 89th celebration of this designation of the day by the Act of Congress to recognize the fourth arm of defense, the arsenal of democracy that the Merchant Marine delivers and brings. I also want to thank up front here, too, the Maritime Administration staff. We have a number of volunteers, docents, members from the public, as well as from the Nuclear Ship Support Services, our support contractor here. And they did a great job in setting up the ship for us today. Let's give them a round of applause. So what a week it's been. I can tell you, it's been a tremendous week. So we started with the appointment of our new Maritime Administrator, Rear Admiral Ann Phillips. So she started on Monday. Wednesday, we were in the United States Capitol in Statuary Hall with Drew Madia and 10 Merchant Marine veterans from World War II. The Congress honored those veterans with the gold medal for Merchant Mariners who sailed in World War II. We were fortunate to have 10 of them with us to be able to receive those medals directly from the Speaker of the House, the Senate Majority Leader, and the House Ranking Member, Kevin McCarthy. It really was an emotional event. It was wonderful to be there in person to see that. And when the Admiral presented those medals to those mariners, a few of them teared up. They didn't think they would live long enough to finally see the day, because in fact, most of them have not. Most of them have passed. And we are going to honor the family members with the duplicates of the mariners, or the gold medal. And we'll have those available for them to receive. So that's Wednesday. Yesterday was Armed Forces Day, right? So I've got my PDU cover hat on for that. And last week was also National Transportation Week. And today is National Maritime Day. We're going to be honoring it at the industry. Because I'll tell you this, we need more people coming into the maritime industry by droves. We are short of mariners today, capacity-wise, and I'm sure Billy would probably say he needs some more workers in the port as well. Growing opportunities. And so the Maritime Administration has a number of opportunities of advancing maritime education and careers, not only at our own Merchant Marine Academy, the 6 state maritime academies, but also at centers of maritime excellence that train workforces. We've sponsored 27 designated training to become all you can think about is the goods that move on the sea. 98% of our goods that come into this country are imports and exports are carried on ships and crewed with merchant mariners from around the world. So we need to attract youth into our maritime industry. We have growth, and there's tremendous opportunities for that. I just want a final point about our sea lift capabilities from what makes us a strong nation. We've got great weaponry, some of the most sophisticated types of electronic warfare capabilities and weapons that can be delivered around the world. But it's not until it gets loaded on a ship and gets delivered. That's what makes us the world's superpower, is that we can go anywhere on the globe at the time and place of our choosing. The only nation so far that can do that, because we have sea lift capability for power projection. No other nation has standing by over 110 ships ready to deploy the nation's military force. And it has become much more important in the last 15 years, as most of our military force is now in the United States, and it's CONUS-based here in the United States. It's not forward deployed. So we've become even more dependent on the sea lift ships that we have. The ships that we have here, the Cape Washington, the Cape Wrath, fast sea lift ships here in the port of Baltimore, the military sea lift commands, large, medium speed ro-ro vessels that are here as well as the other 50 ships around the country that answer a moment's call on a 5-day notice to get activated and sail. We've got a ship coming back right now from Norway. We've got other ships that are deploying military equipment as we speak that are crewed with merchant mariners. And that's what we're honoring today, is the legacy of mariners of the past. It's continuing to work today, and it's going to go forward. It continues to make this United States a strong nation. So my last question for the audience is, what time is it?
Lunchtime.
It's maritime. Have a great maritime day. Thank you.
merchant ships go, the Savannah of 1819 and 1962 really bookend the technology of maritime steam propulsion. Today, steam is waning from the seas, as you heard, long since eclipsed by more efficient forms of diesel propulsion and emerging hybrid technologies that promise to reduce emissions and increase economy. But for the romance of the seas, that promise to reduce emissions and increase economy is nothing to compare with the classic knee-knocking, reciprocating steam engine. And Baltimore is proud to host one of the finest such ships there is, our own home-built Liberty ship, John W. Brown. FDR surely had something like John Brown in mind when he asked Congress to establish National Maritime Day. Every year since, the President has issued a proclamation declaring May 22nd to be National Maritime Day. Please welcome Captain Jeffrey Dunport, Master of SS John W. Brown, to read the 2022 National Maritime Day Presidential Proclamation.
Good morning, everybody. Are we hearing? The White House, a proclamation on National Maritime Day 2022. From sea to shining sea, whether in still or raging waters, America has always been a nation of maritime travel. Across our 25,000 miles of waterways and over 360 commercial ports, the United States Merchant Marine is integral to our nation's prosperity. From helping move goods throughout the supply chain to supporting our troops wherever they may be deployed, the Merchant Marine plays a vital role in the economic security and defense of our country. Our National Maritime Day, and every day, we honor the Merchant Marines for their service and sacrifice and acknowledge their crucial role in protecting our nation's security and commerce. Today, our Merchant Marine remains inexorably linked to our national and economic security, and the competitive nature of our merchant mariners' legacy of perseverance and dedication is carried on by today's civilian mariners. As tyranny and violence again caused the tragic loss of innocent lives and senseless destruction in Europe, our merchant mariners have answered the call of duty by crewing vessels of our United States Ready Reserve, moving vital military cargo to help the Ukrainian people in their defense of freedom. We also salute the remarkable efforts of our entire maritime industry throughout the COVID-19 pandemic. They put the well-being of the American people first, risking their lives to ensure that essential cargoes of medical supplies and personnel and personal protective equipment were delivered to those in need across our nation. As we continue to build a better America, our Merchant Marine plays a pivotal role in securing our coastal and inland waterways so that they remain open to trade. No matter the hardship, mariners provide a smooth passage for America's critical domestic goods and serve as stewards of our nation's trading gateways with the rest of the world. My administration continues its unwavering support of the United States Merchant Marine, as well as the Jones Act, which protects the integrity of our domestic maritime industry, supports hundreds of thousands of jobs, and contributes over $150 billion in economic benefits. We also know that the future success of the vital maritime industry depends on its ability to attract the talent of all Americans and reflect the diversity of the nation it serves. That is why we are resolved to continue the urgent work of advancing diversity, equity, and inclusion in the ranks of the Merchant Marine, and to end sexual assault, sexual harassment, and bullying in the workplace. Our nation's merchant mariners serve with honor and integrity each and every day. Today we recognize their service and sacrifice and recommit ourselves to fulfilling the promises and uplifting the values that they continue to protect. The Congress, by a joint resolution approved May 20, 1933, has designated May 22nd of each year as National Maritime Day to commemorate the first transoceanic voyage by a steamship in 1819 by the SS Savannah. By this resolution, the Congress has authorized and requested the President to issue annually a proclamation calling for its appropriate observance. I also request that all ships sailing under the American flag dress ship on that day. Now, therefore, I, Joseph R. Biden, Jr., President of the United States of America, by virtue of the authority vested in me by the Constitution and the laws of the United States, do hereby proclaim that May 22nd, 2022 is National Maritime Day. I call upon Americans to observe this day and to celebrate the United States merchant marine and maritime industry with appropriate programs, ceremonies, and ceremonies and activities. In witness whereof, I have hereunto set my hand this 20th day of May in the year of our Lord, 2022, and of the independence of the United States of America, the 246th Joseph R. Biden, Jr. Thank you.
Thank you, Captain Dumport. Whether in peace or war, we honor the heritage and sacrifice of our mariners and industry. In keeping with tradition, we will make that honor by casting a memorial wreath upon the waters, keeping silent vigil in our hearts and thoughts, and breaking that silence by tolling 8 bells, signifying the end of watch. A natural wreath will be attended at the starboard rail by Captains O'Connell and Dumport, and after a blessing by Reverend Messick, it will be tossed in and will remain in the water. The vigil will be accompanied softly by an instrumental of Eternal Father and broken by the tolling of the bell. Assisting our captains will be Maisie Cummings Rock of the Baltimore and Chesapeake Steamboat Company, who have once again provided the wreath. The end of watch is also a solemn reminder of those whose sacrifices are complete. In the 3 years since our last Maritime Day, NS Savannah has lost 2 dear shipmates whom we have not been able to recognize. Chief Engineer Stan Wheatley celebrated his last National Maritime Day with us in 2019. And who can forget Admiral Busby's declaration that Stan is your ship that made the Sun paper on Monday. Stan passed a short time later, and while his family and friends were able to gather, we were not able to publicly celebrate Stan on board this ship until today. Stan's good friend and former Marriott co-worker Joe Seelinger is a more recent loss. Joe was a member of the Marriott Savannah backup crew in 1964, a story in and of itself. Joe and Stan spent the infamous hurricane of '64 about as far apart as possible. Stan in the control room, and Joe on the flying bridge. Both riding the storm as best they could. Joe spent the last decade of his career at Marriott tending to Savannah, among other things, of course. His support in bringing her home from Patriots Point in 1994 oversaw her sojourn in the reserve fleet and served as the agency's senior technical advisor, NRC licensee from 1998 until his retirement in 2004. A bell ringer today is Cindy Farrow of Marriott's Savannah Technical Staff. Cindy began her career with Marriott near the end of Stan's, both in the Office of Ship Operations. She was Joe's indispensable assistant for 20 years, just as she continues to be to this day for Joe's successor. On behalf of their families, we thank Cindy for rendering this solemn service today. Reverend Messick and Captains O'Connell and Gunport, please come to the wreath. Will the audience please rise and remain standing until the tolling of the bells is complete.
Say a quick blessing over y'all first because you matter too. To paraphrase what Kevin said in his keynote, most of our nation suffers from sea blindness. They don't know how things get anywhere, and it doesn't really matter to them. Your being here shows that it matters. Thank you for attending. Let us pray. Loving God, keep those who brave the seas safe. Help them to get where they need to go. Bravely keep our nation going. Bless the vessels that carry them. May they be sound and secure places of refuge, whether they be in the doldrums or the high 40s. Help them to weather it well. Bless us gathered here today. Help us to remember that whether we find ourselves tossed by tempests of doubt or grief, you remain with us. All this we ask in your most holy name. Father God, bless this wreath. May it be to us a sign of all those who serve, continue to serve. Help us to remember them with grateful hearts and to know that they rest in your grace. Amen.
Thank you. You may be seated. This is a busy weekend. Yesterday was Armed Forces Day, which our nation observes on the third Saturday of May to recognize the service, members past and present. I will now ask all active duty members and veterans of the services to stand and be recognized as I call your service. Army, Navy, Marine Corps. No jar hats?
Here.
Air Force. Coast Guard. Public Health for Noah. And last, but by no means least, Merchant Marine. Thank you all for your service. And now, let's give a loud round of applause to our service members abroad, especially those in harm's way. And in honor of National Maritime Day, please remember our ships at sea with another round of applause. We're nearing the end of our ceremony. In a few moments, Katrina will rejoin the stage for our traditional ending song, God Bless America. Sung on July 21st, 1959, as NS Savannah, this ship was launched into the Delaware River. And today, as always, we punctuate the song with cannon fire and water cannon and whistling and horns. But first, since I have control of the microphone, and this is National Maritime Day, and it does involve everything maritime, anything that floats or has to do with the water. As past president of the Baltimore Council of the Navy League of the United States, I would like to advise you of an event coming up in February of 2023. The United States Department of Defense, the U.S. Navy, has chosen the Helen Belich Bentley Port of Baltimore for the commissioning of a brand new Arleigh Burke-class destroyer. That's it. USS Carl M. Levin, named for the late chairman of the House Armed Services Committee, will be commissioned. She's DDG 120, I believe, on the 23rd of February. Put that date on your calendar. It's going to be a very special day. I will now ask Reverend Josh to please offer the benediction.
I guess I can pull one more out.
May God bless and keep each and every one of us. May He make His face to shine upon us and be gracious to us. Lift up His countenance upon us and give us peace. And the blessing of God Almighty, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit be upon you and remain with you this day and always.
As we near our conclusion, on behalf of the BPA, it has been our pleasure and honor to organize this ceremony. I want to send a special recognition to Joe Wyatt, who was back in the thick of things this year. We also want to thank the members of the organizing committee, exhibitors, participating vessels, sponsors, and importantly our hosts, the staff and crew of NS Savannah and the Maritime Administration, without whose support this ship could not be available for today's event. And if you have not yet toured John Brown and visited the expo inside her air-conditioned cargo holds, air-conditioned, please be sure to do so before you leave. She's right across the pier. For that, Katrina, please come forward. Will the audience please stand and join hands Dundalk style? Be careful if you don't, because Helen Bentley is watching. As the music ends, please feel free to line the rails and watch the show. Thank you. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Sing with me, please. God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with the light from above. From the mountain to the prairie to the ocean, white with foam. God